What is up, everybody? This is Chris for the Comic Haul crew coming to you with my haul video. First one in a while, I know. Thank you guys also for subscribing. Smash the share button to let other people know if you like what we're doing so we can keep it up and keep bringing you some great content. So this haul video is going to be a little different. Instead of my weekly haul comics, I'm doing the past few months worth of some of the trade papers and collected editions of comics that I've picked up that I think you guys might enjoy. So first up, we have Deceased, the hardback edition of the book, which is a really great and amazing story. If you missed out on it, this is a great way for you to pick up the collected volume of the entire story so you can read it all, and I'm pretty sure you'll just fall in love with the story. So the next up on the list to go along with Deceased is the story that takes place during it, Hope at World's End, which is a story that takes place during Deceased, because that's just, you know, how DC does a lot of stories, is that we always get that B story. You know, there's always other stuff going on along with the bigger encompassing story that is going on. So Deceased at Hope at World's End is another really great story. It's a compendium. It goes along with the Deceased main story that if you pick it up, you will love. Trust me. Next up is Deceased Unkillables. Deceased Unkillables was only 3 issues long, but it was a really great story because it told you exactly what the villains were doing for a change during the story of Deceased, you know, and a lot of times we don't get to see what's going on with the villains in a story. So it's actually really cool that we got a story that told us exactly what was happening with the villains and how they were dealing with the crisis in the world, because usually it's always about the heroes. Next up, for all you vampire fans, Boom Studios' Buffy the Vampire Slayer Willow. Willow was a short-lived breakaway story, still based within the Buffy universe, by Boom Studios. It only ran for maybe about 5 issues, and then they collected it into a trade paperback. Really great story, really great read. If you're a fan of Buffy, if you're a fan of vampires, I think you'll really enjoy this comic book. Next up is Heroes in Crisis, which if you haven't read Heroes in Crisis, I think you would really love. Again, because Heroes in Crisis deals with something that at least personally I never thought about until I read the story, and it's how heroes deal with the crisis that they save us from. You know, how do heroes deal with having PTSD? How did Batman deal with getting his back broken? How did Superman deal with dying? How did Wally West deal with being erased from the universe? How did Cyborg really deal with turning into half robot? How did Barbara Gordon deal with being shot? You know, these things are stuff that Heroes in Crisis shows us exactly how these heroes, to a degree, deal with these problems by coming together. And so it's another really great story. Another really great story that I think you would love if you have not read it. The collected volume here in the trade paperback is really worth a pickup. Next is an oldie but a goodie. It's the New 52 Justice League Volume 2 Survivors of Evil, which is one of the stories from the beginning of the New 52, the Justice League of America. Really great love, and it's also one of those things to learn the difference of. Because, you know, during New 52, there was the Justice League, which was Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and all them. And then, of course, there was the Justice League of America, who was made up by Amanda Waller, with Rick Flag, Catwoman, Green Arrow, Firestorm, the Martian Manhunter. So it's a really great read to see a Justice League made up of what some people would consider B-list characters to a degree. Another great pickup that I grabbed over the last few months, The Wicked and the Divine. I'd never actually read it. Stumbled across it, my wife saw it, read the back of it, said it sounded good, so we picked it up, and you know what? It actually is a really good comic book that I think you will enjoy. The premise of the story being that every few years or so, celestial beings are reincarnated on Earth in the bodies of humans. They get to live for a certain amount of years and then they die. But during that time, they, enjoy a certain amount of celebrity, and a lot of craziness ensues during that time. I think this is a really great comic. I'm kind of sad that I missed out on it for as long as I missed out on it. But I am glad that I have picked it up, and I will be getting future volumes to finish out what I have. To a degree, this comic needs no introduction, but I picked up the first 2 volumes because the single issues are so hard to find from the early run, and my wife hadn't read it yet, so I went ahead and picked it up. Something is Killing the Children is 2020 best series from the Will Eisner nominee. Like, it is phenomenal, and I do believe that the follow-up story that's coming out, The House of Slaughter, will be just as good. It's going to be just another amazing comic book being put out by Boom Studios, that you know, kind of come out of nowhere, that unsuspected sleeper hit. So something we can look forward to. If you haven't grabbed it, definitely go out and get pick up the trade paper, and then, you know, go back like I'm doing it and get individual issues if you can find them. Picked up Blackest Night Saga. I am a huge Green Lantern fan. And so it was definitely one of those things for me to grab because I actually hadn't gotten it before. And so I went ahead and picked it up when I was able to find it. And I mean, by this point, I think everybody has learned about the Blackest Night story. But obviously, you know, if you haven't, pick it up. Just from that cover alone, you can see there's so much going on. Because, I mean, you've got Flash as a Blue Lantern, Mira as a Red Lantern, Wonder Woman as a Star Sapphire, the Atom as a Blue Lantern, and Lex Luthor as an Orange Lantern. Like, and then Sinestro, of course, as a White Lantern, which, if just the cover alone doesn't have you asking questions, I mean, then I don't know what to tell you. Next pickup was one of the random pickups that I grabbed. This is 21 Down. I picked it up because of the cover. The puzzle cover seemed interesting. Seemed like it might be like a spy thriller. And I will wholeheartedly admit that I have not gotten to it because it is far down on my list. In my stack, not on my list, just in my stack of trade papers. You know, between weekly comics and everything else, I haven't gotten to read it yet, but it definitely is on the list of stuff to read because of the intriguing cover that it had. All right, so next up is the fan favorite everybody loves. Picked up both of these Harley Quinn trade papers because I do like Harley's story. I love that. I love reading Harley stories where it's more, where they show off who Harley is beyond being just the Joker's sidekick, beyond just being clown girl, you know, and the punching bag for the Joker or his escape, you know, method or whatever. I love the stories in which they explore who Harley Quinn is outside of the costume and who she is as a person and her personality. And the Harley Quinn comic book did an amazing job. The current comic book does an amazing job. The HBO Max TV series does a great job as well. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are Harley Quinn fans. But if you've never given her a shot, then I encourage you to do so, because these trade paperbacks are actually really, really good reads. Next up is I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. And Scotty Young, a lot of you may know Scotty Young based off of his artwork. He has done quite a number of Marvel covers. I can't even remember if he's actually been hired to do any DC covers, but I know he's done a lot of Marvel covers. And so he actually has his own comic book that he does the internal art for and he writes for and everything. And I Hate Fairyland is actually a really good comic book. Even though I'm not a fan of his art style, I am a fan of his writing, because it's actually a really good story. So I encourage you to go out, if you can find it, pick up volume 1 of I Hate Fairyland, and then just buckle up, because it is a wild ride, I can tell you that. Alright. Next up is one that I'm pretty sure a lot of people have read about, heard about from other friends and so forth. And Saga is an amazing story also. If you have not been reading Saga, or if you've never heard of Saga, if you're like me, if you were late to the Saga train, go out. You're not going to be able to really find individual issues, so I encourage you to go out and find the trade paperbacks, which are available and pick them up and read them. Right now, there's only 9 because the story's on hiatus. Pick up the absolute omnibuses. There's a few of those that each one has like 3 trade paperbacks, so there's only 3 of those to get versus 9 individual trade paperbacks. I think you will enjoy them because Saga is an amazing story. And so I do believe that is the end of my trade paperback collection for the last few months. As always, you guys, like, share, and subscribe. Tell your mom and them about us. Oh, wait, I was wrong. Looks like I may have one more for you. It is another Boom Studios comic that if you are not reading, but if you are a 90s kid, you will love nonetheless. And it is Power Rangers. Now, this is the Power Rangers Shattered Grid story, telling the tale of an alternate dimension Tommy who killed his Rita and took her power and then started going through the morphing grid, absorbing the morphing abilities of other Rangers and then turning them into his own private army as he waged war across dimensions. Currently, Boom Studios is running there are 2 different comic books, which is another new one that is just released. But the 2 initial comic books, one is called Power Rangers and the other one is called Mighty Morphin. And it tells the 2 different stories between one on Earth and one out in space. They are really great reads. I've been reading them since they started. They're only up to like issue 9 on them. So there may not be trade papers out for them yet. Another cool bonus is that on the Power Rangers and on the Mighty Morphin comic book is that they're all connecting covers. There's a lightning bolt split down the middle, and when you put the 2 covers for each issue 1 of Power Rangers and issue 1 of Mighty Morphin connect to make one cover thanks to the lightning bolt that's in the front. They've done that with all 9 issues, which I think is actually really, really cool. Alright, so I promise that is actually it. As I said before, like, share, and subscribe. Tell your mom and them, let everybody know that is listening, that the Comic Hall crew is a place to be for all your comic book news, reviews, and everything in between. So until next time, you guys, be safe.